Coming up next, Fireside, fielding A1 for the U.S. Army in just a few moments. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Anshu Roy, founder and CEO, Rhombus Power.
Just keep going.
Thomas Browning, Vice President for Strategic Capabilities, Rhombus Power. And your moderator, Patrick Tucker, Defense One, for our fireside chat, fielding AI for the U.S. Army.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So happy to see all of you. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm here with Anshu Roy and Thomas Shotgun Browning. That's a good call sign, too. That's a good one. And they are with Rhombus Power. I was reminded that I actually met Dr. Roy at DIA a few years ago when General Stewart was leading it. Shotgun worked in the Department of RDT&E for adaptive capabilities. Sorry, again.
Mission capabilities.
Mission capabilities. So veterans of the national security and military technology industry, now with Rhombus Power. Real quick, before we get started, tell us a little bit about Rhombus Power, what it is, and how your experience with the DoD, which it was then, and until Congress changes it under Title 10, still is, just technically. But tell us a little bit about Rhombus Power and how your experiences shaped this product.
Patrick, very good to be with you. What I'll begin with is what Rhombus Power does, just for everybody's knowledge. We provide an AI-powered predictive decision support in real time, which includes intelligence, includes insights for resourcing, for faster decision making, for more optimal decision making, and furthermore, for things like targeting and lethality products, right? How we apply AI to those things. In the last roughly 10 years of working with the DoD, we were conceived at a time when there was no frontier model. And we had been laser focused on, at that time, understanding the customer's problems, which means, you fundamentally think about it as a bespoke solution company.
Yeah.
We did that for years, and very proud of it. We learned the landscape of problems that the DoD has to solve on a daily basis. And as a result of that, what we concluded is that there are products that can be created that deliver insights at scale, in time, so that it can cater to a very large number of customers within the DoD. And so the way we see ourselves is there is cloud infrastructure.
Yeah.
Then there are frontier models,
Yeah.
right? Which I also call infrastructure fundamentally.
Yeah, let me go back. I want to kind of understand that differently, because I think of frontier models as like, hey, I pay like $200 a month to like OpenAI, and then I have like a frontier model that I can use very expensively, but it's kind of a general purpose type of thing. And you were saying, think of this actually as infrastructure for a different AI that like sort of goes on top of that. And given that like when I go to ChatGPT, it gives me an output, and that changes depending on how good my prompts are, it seems like a finished thing. How do you put something on top of that to use that as infrastructure?
So when you are prompting ChatGPT very intentionally,
Yeah.
what you're really doing is you're reasoning with it. You are applying your reasoning framework on it, which it doesn't know. Once it learns that, it's able to deliver for you something that's acceptable, and you move on, right? But you work in the media.
Yeah.
You're not injecting data into it. You don't have an insight issue that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
You're relying on its data, and you kind of trust it, and it's okay for your business, and you move on.
Yeah.
When you go to enterprises have a vast amount of very deep data, especially the DoD.
Yeah.
And now there's a different challenge where you have to use your own data, enterprise data, to generate insights, where the frontier model's job, fundamentally, it's a very good talker. It's a language model. It's called that for a reason. It speaks English very well, you know. So it can frame things very nicely for you, but it doesn't know how to reason as much as you do as an enterprise. So there are two mysteries to be solved. First, figure out how do you actually reason as an enterprise. It's harder than it sounds. The more complex the enterprise, the more it actually doesn't know itself. Okay. The second is, how do you actually impose that layer on top of a frontier model or a set of frontier models with your data injected in it, such that it can produce the insights that you want.
Gotcha.
So
all right,
that's
this is very helpful. All right, let's run this out a little bit and bring you in, Shotgun. You guys have a $200 million contract with the Air Force to apply AI to strategic decision making. And I wonder if you can tell me, what is the baseline for strategic decision making now? I understand that, you know, there's usually guys sitting at FOBs, and they put together PowerPoints. The PowerPoints take too long to get to the command center, and then they make a series of strategic decisions based on that. And there's a lot of work on like shortening that cycle so that just the information from that guy gets to a place where there's a dashboard and you can accelerate your strategic thinking just on that. But how is AI going to affect strategic decision making, and how do you guys help with that?
No, that's a fantastic question. And for those who are expecting Alex Miller and the brilliance of the United States Army, you've got an ex-fighter pilot instead, so we'll take what we can get. And I have been part of that process. And you know, Anshu says something quite often, which is, you know, AI is just the table stakes. It's really about the data. And as you can imagine, in the Department of War now, there are very laborious, very transactional processes that occur to be able to go from the forces that we have to understanding either how to sustain those forces, how to modernize those forces, or find the forces that I need. And because of how difficult that process is in a human engineered way, it becomes very transactional. People look at certain pieces, provide them to somebody else. They look at those pieces, they provide them to somebody else. And by the time it gets to the end of the chain, you have no idea what occurred at the beginning. And the first most important thing is as Anshu continues to be, is not just getting access to that data, but getting that data formatted in a way that is digestible by your large language model. And to me, what's really exciting is where that linear process drove you to more or less a single plan. Leveraging AI in this is about allowing you to explore many, many different options very quickly. So a process that took weeks takes minutes. Because it takes minutes, I'm able to play with it. I'm able to ask new, again, just like you might do with ChatGPT. You're able to explore those problems across those cylinders. Even better than that, it goes from being transactional to collaborative, where later in the process you can jump back earlier in the process and iterate in a way that allows you to refine the plan into something that is you're much more certain is going to help you provide value in the future.
Right. Okay. So I understand this in terms of strategic planning for like a large-scale engagement with a high-stakes competitor vis-a-vis China. But when you think about China and its absorption, its adoption, and its deployment of AI in a way that's sort of similar to what you describe, how do you keep from continually just between you and your competitor compressing the OODA loop so that any advantage that you glean from your enhanced decision-making cycle isn't lost, and you still keep like the human within that decision-making cycle?
Would you?
Yeah, either way.
Well, by knowing what the competitor is going to do, which is exactly how you get inside their decision cycle, inside their OODA loop, right? And how do you do that? Well, you can do it with classified collection and intelligence. And I will not comment on that. What I will tell you is that commercial sensing has evolved to a point where it has global coverage and the ability to generate assessments in near real time on the competitor, where the assessments are reasonably good, and maybe classified data will improve your confidence, but it won't fundamentally change the assessment. And so what that does is, because anything classified is slower because of natural reasons, and suffers from silos and so on. On the commercial side, one can integrate at scale in a way that you can simply not do on the classified side. There are many, many barriers to it.
Yeah.
So using that, what we've done is we built a product that is now being used by 8 different countries to keep eyes on the same 2 countries that we care about, China and Russia.
Yeah.
And they are using that to figure out what are these countries doing militarily, politically, diplomatically, in the information domain, combining those pieces together. Some of these countries are asking questions like, how can we use this for cognitive warfare now?
Yeah.
Because that's where the real game is.
Yeah, yeah. On this, one of the things that I've been covering more and more lately is growing concern around the fact that, these frontier models, they use a lot of open source data. Open source is now, it like you said, classified collection is mostly a thing that boosts confidence, but a lot of what you need on the strategic level is already sort of floating out there. And there's concern about strategic data poisoning, like actually like internet poisoning, and China doing this on like a grand scale. So when you're offering a decision aid to a commander, and a lot of that is, in order to maintain your speed advantage, a lot of it's going to be based on OSINT. How do you ensure the credibility of your assessment, given that your adversary's strategy is to poison the OSINT that makes that available?
Yeah, I think a place to start is, all the way back to the dawn of conflict.
Yeah.
One guy tries to trick the other guy, right?
Right.
So I think the first fallacy, if you will, is that leveraging AI means I have the truth.
Yeah.
Right? And I think instead, thinking of it as a really badass analyst who is providing you knowledge, and in the case of Rhombus, having a very great historical data structure that allows us to look back through, not just look at yesterday associated with the OSINT, but look at back what happened last year, what happened 10 years ago, and be able to evaluate across that spectrum, gives you now a pretty darn good analyst. But back to your human in the loop part, the human should be questioning whether, just like you did when there's deception on a battlefield, you should be questioning everything, to include questioning the information that you're getting from your AI model. So it's a teammate. As you're able to have more data and iterate over that data, a better and better and better teammate may even be one of the experts. But when that expert's providing the commander information, it's just an expert providing the commander information. And sometimes you follow it and made the wrong decision because their deception worked. Again, whether that's OSINT, whether that's a decoy or whatever. And I think that's part of the key is thinking of the leveraging AI as speeding up the process and making the process more certain. But the product isn't more certain if the data's bad, whether that data is from the NSA or from the New York Times.
I think that's please go ahead. I think that's a really good point. And I worry, one of the other things that I worry about is exactly what you described. There is, if you look at users of these frontier models in the consumer space, their critical thinking applied to their outputs is actually sort of like going down. And that's just a training issue. That's just like, this is a new thing that we haven't trained folks against. Within the national security space, and are you seeing what else needs to happen to enable operators to use this stuff in a way that's effectively critical, while also keeping in mind that they're using this stuff to be faster, and you don't want to undermine that?
Let me touch on something. I'll let Anshu give the more intelligent answer. But one of the things that I've learned over the years is you bring in new technology into old duty titles, old organizational structure. People just use it to try to do the job that they have today better. But if you had started with this new tool, with AI, you would have actually designed the organization and the roles and missions completely different. So to me, it's really iterative development and DevSecOps, right? I don't want the warfighter to go, here is my job, give me AI to make my job better. What you really want is a partnership between the user and the industry partner to define both what I need and how I would use it together as a partnership. And you find out that as you iterate, what they asked for up front wasn't what they needed in the first place, right? So you would have gotten the wrong product for the new world. So to me, the key to success on uptake of AI is not to just throw LLMs at people and make it so they work an hour instead of 8 hours. It's really about leveraging that to put the people where people matter. And that's going to be a complete redesign of the architecture, and that will also be a complete redesign of the applications necessary for that architecture.
I fully agree. I mean, I think we're learning this as we go. That to go from efficiency to effectiveness, improving efficiency to improving effectiveness, one has to rethink the way the organizations are built, because they are fundamentally built with the mindset of the technologies that existed when they were started to begin, right, when they started. So, I mean, you know this, right? I mean, there's a manpower expert, there's an intelligence expert, there's a logistics expert. Well, they're all we all know it's functionally connected in very causal ways. And now you have artificial intelligence that can give you answers that span across all of that. So, therefore, the human has to be trained to actually consume answers that spans across all of that. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this. You type a question on Claude or ChatGPT, and it'll give you an answer where you go, wow, this will take me a day to understand what the hell this is talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, this is interesting, in part because if there's one thing institutions love doing, it's reinventing themselves based on new, like, bureaucracies. The bigger the bureaucracy, the more they love to, like, completely reinvent themselves is a common rule of law. So you're looking at the Defense Department, the War Department, and there is real energy right now around doing a lot of things differently. It's bipartisan, particularly in terms of acquisition, not acquiring, every new thing the way you used to acquire a boat. Actually buying things at the speed of software, because that's the determinant of everything. Just real quick, to your mind, is the department reinventing itself fast enough around these new realities, not just sending licenses out for operators to begin to play with, but actually reforming itself around what AI is going to do in the geopolitical space?
Yeah, I think the positive first. So the positive is they are taking a baseball bat to the badness of what was the requirements process. They're taking a baseball bat to the badness of what was the acquisition process. And embracing bringing on new technologies. The challenge is it is still, and they can change this, but it is still an extraordinarily transactional process in two ways that really do not help. One is what many people call the color of money, which is those you work with to create things, and those you work with to buy things, and those you work with who are going to use things are completely different entities, completely different colors of money. RDT&E money is different than acquisition money. And obviously what you'd like to do is work with one tribe across that. You're going through this experience together. You're creating and modifying the product to meet the needs of the customer, and then you'd like to buy that, but that's not the way it works. You finish that, you now meet a completely different tribe to try to palm and get in the budget to sell the thing to people who were not part of that original journey. So the positive is I think the current administration sees the problem and is altering the tools in a way that would enable it to evolve. I personally have not seen that evolution occur, and it has to enable us to blur the money in the sense of of RDT&E to acquisition, blur the roles and missions, as we talked about earlier, in the sense that the warfighter is actually working with the technologist to evolve the product to an acquirable tool. And then we don't want to wait a palm. We want to get that in the hands of the warfighter right now so they can do great things with it.
I'm seeing things change. I mean, just in the last 12 months, big time. I think the problem of top-down signaling has vaporized. There is no such problem anymore.
Oh, good.
The signal is very clear. A lot of as you know, the bureaucracy has been hollowed out. We all know that. That is creating some speed in some cases not, because there are desks but with no people on it yet. So processes haven't changed yet, right? It's happening, but not quite there yet. But what I'm really seeing is, I'll give you an example, like Project Aria that the Army has started with Secretary Driscoll. I think that's a fantastic thing. I think the work that the Air Force has been doing with us, now that's crossed multiple administrations, so congratulations to them on their their resilience
Yeah.
to changes around. But to Shotgun's point, much of our success in the Air Force is because the same bunch of people have stuck with us from conception to operationalization,
Yeah.
through and through,
Yeah.
through the years.
Yeah.
And that is how you do interesting things.
Yeah.
It comes back again to the same thing, that anything interesting or valuable takes time.
Yeah.
And iterations, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And so the idea that we are with data, that you talked about data, right?
Yeah.
And you talked about, can I trust the output?
Yeah.
That's what the enterprise is bothered about. Well, you can, if you do the quality checks on it, sure.
Yeah.
And that is a very intentional human endeavor.
Yeah.
And it will remain so, because humans have to make the decisions, not machines.
Yeah. Right.
So there is a human at the input, there is a human at the output, and there's a machine that's churning
Yeah.
to help them both.
Yeah. So you talked about reinventing institutions entirely around the existence of this thing. Fun, weird anecdote. Estonia is already doing this. Estonia is actually reinventing aspects of government around agentic AI. So like government services, they're rethinking it from the ground up because of agentic AI. And also Ukraine. Ukraine is basically recreating the idea of both a military and a government around AI. You've had some time working with both Taiwan, which is also doing this sort of thing, and Ukraine in terms of interesting uses, deployments of AI within that in order to achieve military objectives. To the extent that you can put something out there in the OSINT that hopefully not everyone has seen yet, what is the most interesting thing that you've seen that we might be able to emulate or just take note of?
Well, I'll give you an example. I mean, Taiwan has worked with us to build a predictive INW dashboard. They call it a very boring thing, but it's really artificial intelligence at its best to anticipate Chinese military aggression in a way that's never been done before, and it's something they can actually trust and have a deliberate conversation about.
Yeah.
That I see that as a fabulous all-domain capability using purely commercial data. Right?
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. In Ukraine, we've seen far more targeting and lethal outcomes
Yeah.
with just the insights that come out of our system.
Yeah.
And hundreds of Russian positions have been eliminated using our system. It's because, here's the thing, the adversary evolves
Yeah.
as soon as new technology is deployed.
Yeah.
Right? So the only way for us to have eyes on the adversary all the time is through commercial sensing.
Yeah.
They may not be the sharpest eyes.
Yeah.
It may be still blurry,
Yeah.
but you can tell they're up to something,
Yeah.
something probably not good,
Yeah.
and that is enough to cue collection
Yeah.
from the classified side to get much better eyes on it and then potentially target them. So that's how
Yeah.
we've seen things happen.
Let me add just one pile on, and that is from my time in government. It was almost this unobtainable need for the U.S. to want to share information with our allies,
Yeah.
right? And the problem is you start at uber classified,
Yeah.
and then how do I do tear sheets and rip things off so I can give this to this country and that to that country? So one really exciting input I consistently get from, I'll say on the Ukraine side, UCOM, and on the Taiwan side, Indo-PACOM, is Rhombus is building this infrastructure of open source sharing that as we bring partners on internationally, it's actually increasing the value to the U.S. government to join the family and now have really easy tear lines and an opportunity to share. And as Anshu said, it may be not the best picture you've got, but you know right up front from day one as you're working together, as you're collaborating together, that it is a common picture and that it's a shareable picture.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think it sort of reinforces the valueship of allies and partners,
Absolutely.
which is very important, which is why we don't invade Greenland. All right. So I want to go back, though, to you mentioned Ukraine. When I look at polling in terms of people's excitement or acceptance around AI, I mean, here we're all here because we like this stuff. The U.S. population, compared to China, very poor numbers for us on this is an Edelman poll from November, embracing AI. We're actually in the tank on that. Like Chinese population, willingness or eagerness to embrace AI, it's above 50%. The U.S., it's like 17. The numbers go lower when you ask how excited are you about your employer embracing AI. So in terms of the countries that register very high public sentiment towards AI, it's China, Ukraine, and Estonia. Very different countries, but they have this commonality among them. The U.S., not so much. And given that this is a national security priority to help people feel empowered by this stuff, how do we begin to change that on a policy level, and how do you begin to change that as a company?
And how do you begin to change it in terms of the perception that people have of it? So I would focus on the perception first, because right now there's still a lot of fear about this technology capability products around this at the consumer level. And much of it is also because of genuinely reasonable concerns that this is resulting in unemployment. And we know that. Many companies are using it as an excuse to lay off people. We know that for a fact. Well, so the first thing to work on, I think, is the perception that this can create prosperity and get more specific about it. How? How will that happen? Right? So, like I said, for anything, we like to talk about, quintillion exaflops and blah, blah, blah. And I can talk numbers all day long. Believe me, this is what I used to do. I don't anymore because the basic problem is very simple. The basic problem is if you want to get to AGI, imagine, it's a massive human endeavor. There's a lot of labeling and data engineering and a whole bunch of stuff to be done at internet scale. I mean, I think that can create tens of millions of jobs. Very good jobs and additional employment. It'll be better than driving an Uber.
Right.
So why aren't we working on that more intentionally? I think we are, but it can take more resources, more focus. I think that will create a sentiment that's much more positive towards the technology.
And as maybe a more baseline thought is, I think the American ethos is skeptical to change. But we are friggin' competitive as hell. And as people start kicking your ass, and you go, how are they kicking my ass? Oh, they're using AI. You see the uptake go up. So it's interesting to me that what I have seen over the last year that is logarithmically ramping up is whether it's soldier, whether it's at school, whether it's in industry. Those who are using the tools effectively are beating the crap out of those who aren't using it, and that skepticism's going away and the uptake is going up. So I think we're slow sometimes as a nation, but I see and I love it because success is the metric, and those who are succeeding are using it, and those who aren't succeeding are understanding they need to change.
I think that's fascinating because, if you look at some similar polling, like the difference between Ukraine and the U.S., in Ukraine, people feel it's sort of similar to the U.S. military. The one thing people say they want is more control. They want control over the compute that goes into it. They want to not feel like some large entity is using it to coerce their behavior. They want to control the output as it affects them. They want to control and have some transparency into the algorithm itself. And this is kind of what companies like you, a new crop of AI entrepreneurs are beginning to create. It's not just like a guy from Silicon Valley saying, hey, what I'm making might end the world, but we really need to build that data center. It's actually new guys that are creating the sorts of, that's me telling that it's time to end almost. But in the last minute or so we have, any questions from the audience? It's hard to hear you, but I think we want to try and squeeze in one or two from you guys. If you got a question, just shout it real loud if anybody has one. Otherwise, I'll ask them more questions that will make them say bad things about their employer. More critiques for the Department of Defense. Anybody? Come on. Yes. And say your name, please, if you want.
Scotty's my name.
Yep.
20 years in foreign service and science and technology collaboration.
Yeah.
My question is, what are you doing about cybersecurity and cybercrime that's rising as the third largest economy globally?
Yeah. Okay. So the question is, what are you doing in terms of cybersecurity, applying AI to cybersecurity, especially as it's on the rise? And I don't know if you all saw this Mythos update, but what's today's mythos is going to be like, that's old hat. Already, there's new models that are coming out that can sort of emulate that. Massive concern. How are you approaching cybersecurity as a provider of AI to the military, and how should we think about it generally in terms of AI?
So for our customer base, we provide predictive capabilities on cybersecurity, cyber threats, based on a whole bunch of data that we are collecting on our own. That's very helpful. Okay, it gives you an early warning. On the side of the work for the U.S. government for the solutions we provide, we really bulletproof it. It's zero trust architectures, and it's really compliant with all the NIST standards that exist and are evolving. So we keep up with that. For international partners, we have software-defined security levels that are meeting or exceeding quantum levels, and so that's one of the things that is always on the minds of international allies. That is the U.S. listening to us? Is the U.S. seeing all the things we're seeing? And I mean, if you really want to know, I can tell you, but no.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fast-moving space. I really enjoy writing about it as a writer because it's so terrifying. But thank you all for your involvement.
Thank you.
And please help me in thanking Anshu and Shotgun for being with us here today.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yes.